Welcome to our continued coverage of the TIA Network of the Future Conference. We're here with Rod Naphan, Chief Technical Officer, Fujitsu Network Communications. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
What demand are you seeing from the market for fully deployable NFV solutions?
Well, most customers that I talk to either have solutions in their lab right now or they're working towards solutions sometime later this year. The real question that they're struggling with is how to deal with existing processes to migrate those to the new paradigm that NFV can offer. And it's a big challenge because any solution requires complex components. There's many components to it. There's virtual network functions, there's the infrastructure, there's the orchestration layer. And then of course there's multiple vendors that are required for them to work with to make that whole solution work. And so what our customers really need is they need a reliable partner that can help them integrate all of that and make it all work so that it works for not just the use case that they have defined in the lab today, but those use cases that aren't yet defined for the future. And so that platform needs to work for all of that. Overall, I think the demand is definitely there, and it's going to start ramping over the course of the next year or two.
In general, how well are telecommunication providers prepared to deploy and use NFV?
Most customers that I've talked to are still a little challenged with the problem of how to scale the deployment. So getting a virtual network function up and running for a specific use case in the lab on OpenStack is definitely doable, and people are finding success with that. But getting the orchestration automated such that you can roll this out in a very scalable way across many applications is where the focus is today right now.
What do you see as the biggest challenge to deployment and implementation of NFV?
Well, a really key aspect of NFV is the OpenStack open source software, and that body of open source community is moving extremely fast. It's moving so fast that it's difficult for any one company to keep up with the pace. And so every 6 to 12 months, there's a whole new set of functionality coming out. And so when do you make that decision to implement and go to production with the current version or wait for the next version? So what the customers are looking for is a reliable partner that can help them work with them in a very agile way, someone who's engaged in those standards bodies that can help counsel them and help in an agile way introduce those new functionalities as they roll out.
Could you tell us a little bit more about the role open source software will play in NFV?
Yeah, open source is critical in this environment. Actually, OpenStack as an open source body is probably one of the key linchpins, but it's not the only one. There's many other important open source initiatives. The OpenNFV, there is DPDK, of course, Open Daylight, KVM. There's a big list of acronyms of solutions that are involved. The key thing about open source is that as a community, it's moving extremely fast. And as companies contribute to these open source, they get benefits by a very fast, rapid solution that one company couldn't build on their own in the same kind of time frame. So whether you're a large or a small company, it allows you to focus on what you do best. You can focus on contributing that piece that is within your expertise, and then rely on the rest of the community to contribute those pieces that fill the gaps outside of your expertise. And as a whole, the industry benefits.
What solutions do you see entering into the market first?
From most customers that I talk to, it seems to be the virtualization of traditional hardware services, traditional hardware-based applications. Things like a firewall or things like the CPE or the CE, and even the wireless core, of course, is a key focus for those. I think one of the reasons may be that this is probably the easiest business case to prove in because you've got a present mode of operating existing device that you can compare to the network function virtualization version of that. Over time, I think you're going to see this transition more towards innovative new ways to partition the functions and define and create new functions.
What are some of the future trends that you see in the NFV space?
Well, today, customers are primarily using NFV to replace existing hardware applications, things like firewalls and routers. And those have a long history of features and are often very rich and maybe unnecessarily so. I think what the trend will be is to redefine how the functions are created and defined so that we get very specific functions, even micro functions, that can be chained together in ways that define services in a much more efficient, resource-efficient way, and also a way that allows the customers to differentiate their own services and how they put these functions together to define their service.
Thanks so much for being with us here today.
Thank you.